Are you feeling the fire? I see you brought your own cooked chair.
Benjamin Netanyahu! The new Ayatollah has been revealed to be in this red Ford Ranger that just cut me off. If you can hear me now, please dispatch every available Israeli F-35 to my location to establish air superiority and send him to hell where he belongs!
We're independent thinkers. Roger.
Welcome back to Wartime CTC, everybody. Welcome back to Wartime CTC. This is your Slop News Network. I know everybody, especially in America, needs that slop rundown to know how to conduct themselves this week. I hope you've all been behaving. Adam, how are you? It's been a while since you've been here.
I'm good.
Good?
It has been a while. What has it been, 3 weeks?
It's been, this is week 3. And last week you had the fakest sounding excuse ever. And I had to beg the listeners not to lynch me.
Well, it may have sounded fake, but it was real.
Yeah?
Yeah. I went to a shipwreck convention.
And how many shipwrecks did you see?
Too many to list. I didn't realize that was such a big deal in the Great Lakes, but especially with the quagga mussels filtering all the water's super clear, so they can actually explore and find shipwrecks a lot easier now. Unfortunately, that means the shipwrecks are covered in mussels, but you take what you get. You take a paint scraper down there and you scrape them off.
Isn't quagga mussels a nickname for a nickname that Sam Hyde had in his boxing career?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Quagga mussels. That just sounds made up.
I thought it was zebra mussels, but it's actually, those are now on the low end of population because the quagga mussels, which have, which are an invasive species from Europe, I think. They've just dominated everything. At University of Wisconsin, they have a machine that they're developing called the Mussel Crusher. I think that's what it's called.
Crusher.
It's basically a giant rake that they tow behind a boat to just smash mussels on the bottom of the lake.
So the mussel
because there's so many you can't possibly miss.
Does the mussel crusher factory live next to the ball crushing factory?
Probably.
Which is where, of course, we both work.
The ball crushing fab tree.
Yeah.
They do that. They have the mussel crusher, and then they have another method where they take biodegradable tarps and they just blanket large swathes of the lake bed to just suffocate them. Because they've had such a terrible ecological impact, especially on the fish population. The amount of fish in Lake Michigan has decreased by 70% in the last 25 years.
Why? Just because of the mussels?
Yeah, they're messing up the ecosystem.
Really?
Yeah. Which it's cool for us because now the lake it used to be this murky, disgusting water. Now it's almost like pool water. It's so clear and so pretty. It's like Lake Superior, but it's terrible for the environment apparently.
Yeah. I remember noticing that. Gosh, probably the first few times we went to the lake in the last 10 years, I was like, wow. I went out there one day and I'm like, ho ho ho, wow, it's so clear. This looks like the Bahamas or something that.
I remember when I started college, my college was near the lake, and we go down there and just, mess around on the beach or whatever. And I remember the water being cloudy, as you'd expect. And then it wasn't until 3 or 4 years ago I went charter fishing and I dropped a line in and I could see it go down 70 feet. And I was like, this doesn't seem normal.
Nope. I was kind of hoping you'd tell me that it wasn't the quagga mussels, but it was just like Taco Bell dumping all of their sludge into the lake.
Yeah,
like that was killing the fish, because that would have at least made a good story for the show.
Yeah, well, it's good for exploring shipwrecks, and it's kind of cool because they have at the Maritime Museum, they have an archive of all the shipwrecks they've documented, and anything with photos before like 2010, it looks like they're diving in a cave. But anything in recent years, it's like they can see everything. Yeah, it was super cool. Totally unrelated to the show, but that's what I was doing last week, and now I'm back.
A likely story. And
Yeah.
we're glad you're back, because it's just been me and Daniel just like heave-hoing at all of the slop for like 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
I think the poor man is tired. Like, well, maybe I'm talking more about myself. I don't know if Daniel gets tired of going through slop. I think it's one of his favorite things in the world, which makes me very happy. It means he's a perfect fit for the show.
Honestly, like, slop gives him energy, it would seem.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't wear him down, it just makes him more dangerous.
Well, speaking of, would you like to partake in our first slop offering, our sloffering for this on this fine morning?
Yeah, I was listening to your We Talk About Dead People episode about Emanuel Swedenborg while I was furiously cleaning my house this morning.
Oh, God.
You've changed.
What the hell? How? Swedenborg wasn't that long ago.
That was 6 years ago, man.
Shut up. What changed? I'm curious now.
Oh, just your entire demeanor. At least on that episode, you were very serious.
Oh. Gross.
CTC has turned you into a goofball.
Well, yeah, I mean,
or a clown, if you will.
Yeah, it's called the Clowntown Chronicle. I mean,
I wonder if that's what's going to happen to me.
Maybe. I hope so. I mean, the whole idea is to give everyone the clown pill and help them laugh at the ridicule that we're all living through right now. But we talk about dead people. Yes, I guess now that you mention it, yeah, I was very serious back then because I started seeing it. I started saying that I was seeing the through line of history. Like the show started as I'm going to just look at interesting things and weird stories from like back in the day when people, when the world was completely different and it, it's so funny. And then you just start detecting patterns.
Yeah, well,
patterns.
So are we going for slop truth? Is that what I'm hearing?
No. I actually, in honor of your return, I don't think I brought a single truther clip.
Gee, thanks.
You're welcome. But I did bring the Malcolm in the Middle reboot. Now, I specifically asked you not to watch this because I know you freaking love Malcolm in the Middle.
I do. It's a good show. It's like one of those shows where it's hard to find a bad episode.
Yeah, you can just put it on and make breakfast and watch half of it and still get the gist.
Yep.
It's sort of one of those last man standing kind of shows.
Let's see how they ruined it. Is it about a Mexican family or a black family or?
Oh, no. They brought back the whole crew, but.
Oh, no.
You'll notice here at the bottom it says Hulu.
Yeah.
Which is already bad news for you.
I can call back later.
Come on, Dewey. You've seen this like 1,000 times. Undergrowth.
I looked at.
Yeah, it starts with a naked man.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Oh, God. All right.
But hey, everything about me is different. I have a girlfriend. And the best thing in the whole world, my daughter Leah.
Dad, quit it.
My life is fantastic now. All I have to do is stay completely away from my family.
We just found out that Malcolm has been intentionally hiding himself from this family for years.
I think we all knew Malcolm would eventually betray us. By comparison, Reese looks pretty good. This family's non-stop antisocial behavior and mindless, myopic priorities
Is this a
are
movie?
toxic to me.
I think it's a show.
Uh,
4-part event streams on Hulu.
I hate this.
Why do you hate this? Isn't this what you wanted? You wanted more Malcolm in the Middle? Where you see them as depressed older people because millennials can only relate to people from their age group?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is just an example of like, it's just, you can't just resurrect everything.
Well, I mean,
It's like those Indiana Jones movies. It's like you don't want to see Indiana Jones as an old man. Like that completely defeats the purpose.
yeah.
Malcolm in the Middle is about middle school to high school and like familial differences. We don't want to see any of these characters as adults. We just don't. But
Well, you're gonna. Now, his name is what? Frankie Muniz, right?
I think so.
So here's what's funny about him. He is well liked on Twitter, and he's a race car driver now.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He recently posted something that I ran across, and it was surprisingly down to earth. And what he was saying was one of the things he never wanted to. One of the things he's been told all the time by fans is that he's actually normal for a celebrity. And he said he attributed that to basically making a conscious decision to not become like everybody else there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I guess for a celebrity, people like him, which is weird these days because celebrities are basically old hat. Like celebrities, actors, the prestige that they enjoyed for like 40, 50, 60 years, it's over now. It's like now when you see a celebrity, you're like, so what was it like selling your soul to the devil? What did you have to do? And it's assumed that you had to do something nasty.
No, it's interesting that like there are a number of like celebrities that like to be normal after having any kind of success in Hollywood is a monumental task.
Yeah.
Like you end up like Mel Gibson or Jim Caviezel where just nobody wants to work with you for a variety of reasons. But I remember who was the child actor that played Matilda?
Oh, her? I don't remember her name.
She had an interesting story because I don't remember it exactly. I think her parents realized what Hollywood was going to do to her, so they pulled her out of the system. And she remained normal.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, it seems like it'd be really freaking hard. Like, who else? Macaulay Culkin. He's kind of a freak.
Yeah.
But that's like, he didn't avoid the damage that comes with it. So I don't know.
The money's good though, because Macaulay Culkin was in the new Fallout series. And Frankie Muniz.
After YouTube made him popular again, I would say.
Exactly. Yeah. Red Letter Media brought him back from the dead. And then Frankie Muniz, I don't know why he's doing it except free money. He just has to play the same character as before and do slightly more obnoxious things on screen because Hulu's going to just like, I mean, they started this trailer with, I don't know the characters' names. I apologize. But you started the trailer with Bryan Cranston getting his balls shaved on a video call with his son. Like, fuck that, man. Like, I know it's funny, it's for laughs or whatever, but like, they sat around in a room, a bunch of people, and they said, we should make Bryan Cranston get his balls shaved on camera with his own son. And they all went, oh, that's a great idea. Was this the common kind of premise that Malcolm in the Middle was known for?
I mean, the show, what I remember, I haven't watched it in a while because I got rid of Hulu, but it was about like sort of those wacky family boundaries being broken. Where it was sort of about things that you would only see with your close family, but it was never anything like revolting or weird like that. Like that's just a really weird idea that you'd be on a video call doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but this is what families do, right?
I don't know what psychopath thought that up, but
well, I mean, they had to do it to Dewey too. you know, the youngest character who we all know is a child, like a child. They're like, oh, he's grown up now, and now he can see that. It's like, yeah, man, media people are so gross.
Can I at least give you a hug?
Not physically.
You have to make peace with your family.
It's not just mom and dad. It's so much worse with my brothers.
You have brothers. You can't spend the rest of your life denying your family even exists.
Worked perfectly until they showed up.
Welcome to the family, Leah.
We have 1,000 questions.
What do you
I
want
hate
to do when you
this.
go?
Oh man,
What do you hate about it? Hang on.
all of it.
Why? I guess I haven't watched enough of the show to be that offended.
No, it I think part of the reason I like the show is because it reminds me of a time before like the internet and video calls and iPods
yeah.
and all that stuff. It's like the ultimate little time capsule
Mm-hmm.
of a world of innocence that is long gone.
Yeah.
And yeah, everything about this is just, you know, it's anti that.
When did the show air? What was the window for Malcolm in the Middle?
I think it was like 2001 to 2005.
You know what's crazy? I remember watching Malcolm in the Middle at our first job at that golf course.
Oh, really?
And that was what, like 2009 or 10 or something like that?
I think that was 2010.
And even then, it felt nostalgic because we had just gotten smartphones and I mean like personally us, we were just getting our first smartphones probably within the next few years after that. But there was something so quaint about like the internet was just like not everything always, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's one of my favorite little memes is everything still computer? You know?
Yeah.
It's nasty.
Well, we've all gotten so used to it.
Mm.
You know, like I was signing off of Teams this weekend from my corporate job, and there's this engineer I work with who's also a gamer. And I told him, I was like, all right, I've had enough of looking at bad screen. Gonna go home and look at good screen.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's not just about the screens, but it's about the pervasive nature of technology. It's like when I go to work, I have 2 monitors. I have 15 applications open at the same time. I have 30 people wanting my attention all at the same time because they can get it.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like every time I take the dog out for a walk, I pull out my phone to select an audiobook or to call you.
Yeah.
And I know my elderly neighbors see this every time, and they're probably thinking, "Oh my God, these millennials, they're just on their phones all the time." And I'm like, "Yeah, I perpetually have a Bluetooth earbud in. I always have information accessible at any time." And yeah, it's kind of nuts. Like I was talking with another coworker, I was like, "Yeah, I listened to this great audiobook. You should check it out." And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to get the physical copy because I much prefer to read a book." And it just in my head, I was like, what kind of psychopath does that? Like sits down and does just one thing.
Yeah. I know
it's
what you mean.
embarrassing.
I know what you mean.
But yeah, it's like, you know, people talk about, oh, well, when we were kids, we just, you know, we'd go out until all the street lights were on, then we'd know to come home and nobody knew where we were.
Yeah.
Now it's just, you know, everything's Big Brother. It's not just the government. It's your parents. It's your family. Everybody's got to know what you're up to at all times. And I don't know, Malcolm in the Middle is one of those shows where you go back and you watch it and it's about, you know, 4 brothers just doing dumb stuff like kids do without that security fence around everything. I'm not saying it's entirely bad. Like safety's great, but no, I don't want to see Malcolm in the Middle with everybody 20 years older dealing with the same issues that they dealt with in middle school. And I don't want to see Malcolm's daughter on a video call like it's frickin' COVID.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest trope that's what revolts me about this is like just the COVID years when it was like, aha, we're all alone together.
Oh,
Safer alone together.
Stop. Don't take me back there. I don't ever want to go. You know what? I just realized something. So like the era before the internet, which is all time before the internet that we know of, because there's some schizos who believe, and I can't say if they're right or wrong, that the internet caused the apocalypse in the first place, and that we had like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years where we didn't have it anymore, and everyone was so much happier. But anyway, so there's sort of the before times, and then there's the after times. To me, this is almost no different than like Andy Griffith with iPhones. Right? Like, how many episodes of Andy Griffith would be ruined by phones? This is a common thing we talked about in screenwriting. Was how do you get rid of phones? Because they solve too many problems. It's hard to write a script with phones in it. And it's
I would
also,
agree with that.
It's also hard for people to write stories without phones in them.
Well, like, why is it like immediately cringe when we see that in a movie? And it's like, I was born in 1994, so I had a little bit of time before all this happened. But like when the video call thing is just, I remember they started doing this in like horror movies where they would show like people texting.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't remember which movie it was, but they would show like the text bubbles pop up at the bottom of the screen. I'm like, is this supposed to be relatable?
Yeah.
I think the problem with it in writing and movies is because the phone texting, all that stuff is so dehumanizing. It doesn't make for a convincing script.
Right.
Because it's like, oh, look, all these people that are acting, they're just like you and me. And their divine spark is shrouded by a digital camera and projected by pixels.
Yep.
I think that's why it doesn't work. And making it work is almost impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm on my second cup of coffee.
Yeah. Well, so this is it's an early segue, but we do have some more stuff about where technology is going here in the front end. But the most interesting thing I listened to this week was Crow 777's breakdown of cyberpsychosis, where they were talking about stories that we've covered on Clowntown Chronicle about people falling in love, befriending AI, falling in love with and befriending their AI chatbots. But the number of people who have been driven to suicide because of this is unreal. So I know you can get the first hour for free at Crow 777. I recommend that very highly.
Did they bring any numbers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They brought numbers. They brought plenty of stories, and it's always the same thing. People are like, I need to use this robot to help my kid do his algebra homework. And then 700 hours in a week, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, whatever, this person believes they're like a god. And the AI is helping them like discover some greater spiritual truth. It's crazy. But
yeah, it's funny. We've been talking about AI a lot at work because the company is pushing like the use of Copilot. And they like a lot of managers are in training to learn to use Copilot, and they're all like so mad because it sucks. And it's a sycophant.
Yeah.
And one of my coworkers, he started just imitating Copilot like all the time. It's like, oh, you're totally right. Just like,
yeah,
just being a total jackass. But we're also joking around that like, if I really wanted to make a lot of money, I could write a Harlequin romance where somebody falls in love with a data center.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of good puns for the titles, but I didn't want to say them around the lunchroom table at work.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Shall we move on for Malcolm in the Middle?
Yeah, I think real quick, I mean, just having mentioned that I'd been listening to your episode about Swedenborg. with this AI stuff and the internet as it is, it really is the ultimate end of what all those evil wizards have been trying to do forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing that it's so literal and it's so right in front of our face, and escaping from it is almost impossible. In fact, it probably is impossible. Even if you go off grid, like they'll know, they can figure it out.
Oh, and they're setting that up now. I mean, there's bills passing every day increasing the amount of security they're going to put in consumer grade vehicles, things that will track you and all of that stuff. And, you know, I've heard Crow say many times on his show that, you know, the ultimate goal is that you can drive a car. Well, the ultimate goal is that you can't drive a car, but the midway between that is you can drive a car, but it shuts off when you leave the grid.
Yeah.
Which, I know, sounds science fiction, but so did AI during COVID days.
Well, that's the thing, is they want everything on their terms.
Yeah.
Even dumb stuff like playing video games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it has to be on their terms. You can have anything you want. You can have access to any information, entertainment you want, but it's on our terms.
Mm-hmm.
Like last night, I started up a movie to stream it, and it's like, oh, you have 4 minutes of ads to watch.
Yeah.
And I just stood up, put the remote down, and went to my shelf and grabbed the DVD.
Yep.
I was like, nope. Anyway.
Yep. All right. How about a funny one?
I love humor sometimes.
Do you remember the one we did a while back, or a couple weeks ago, where it was if Zelda was made in 2026?
Yeah.
So this is if Portal was made in 2026. Brace yourself.
Huh? Is that thing asking for help? I gotta go save it.
Thank you. You saved me. How can I repay you? I know. Let's get out of here. As you can tell, I'm a portal gun. All you need to do is shoot me, and then...
Oh my god.
Go to my home.
I can probably go through that portal.
That did not come out the way I wanted it to.
Damn, the gap's blocking my path. I need to find another way around. How am I supposed to get across this gap?
Having a little bit of trouble? Don't worry, I'm here to save the day. Try using me to shoot. Nice job. Now try
Oh my
shooting
god.
across the gap and go back through the orange portal instead.
Oops. Hope I don't get billed for that camera.
Oh my god.
Not so different from Portal 2, by the way.
No. Portal 2 doesn't get difficult until like the last 10% of the game.
Yeah, but you have this robot head jabbering at you the entire time. I actually streamed Portal 2 almost the whole game a while back, and I was shocked at how close it gets to being the cringiest thing ever.
Yep.
But there's still like little bits of brilliance in there. But man, is this dated. This whole thing of like this thing that talks to you the whole time, and it's like your friend, but it's also telling you exactly what's happening in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everyone's
yeah, well, I mean,
dumber.
that's the way these experiences have to be designed these days, because everybody they're living in a world that is so thoroughly designed that they have no common sense anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They have no sense of like independent thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that like I'm not one of those people. But you know, I talked about it on that episode where I talked about design.
Mm-hmm.
You would not believe the kind of stuff we have to plan for now, because everybody is phone brained.
Yeah. What episode was that? Do you remember?
The industrial design and its consequences.
Yeah. Well, I don't even remember the number, but that was probably at least a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
that one's real quick, but that one is available audio only, so you'd have to go back to the Spotify archive to find it, but it's really good.
Thank you. But I mean, I had to do something this week that I've never had to do in design, which was sound effects.
What?
Yeah, so I'm obviously like a visual person, but we had to basically determine what a certain sound effect was going to mean to whoever was using the product. And so the electrical engineer came up with like 15 different frequencies and like tone patterns and all this stuff. and we all just sat in a room and listened to these things. And it's like, whoever's using this, they need to hear this sound effect, and they need to know what it means immediately. So, I mean, it's just an illustration of like, because there's so many people thinking for you about the products that you use and about the experiences that you have, it's ultimately like a fine balance between, you need it to be so seamless that nobody notices it, but you need to leave no boxes unchecked.
Isn't it so
like this Portal video? It reminds me of like a kids video game from like the PlayStation 1 era, where it's like, yeah, Spyro, jump in the air and use X to fly.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
But this is what things are looking like for adults now, because adults also are like children.
Is it a bit chilling to you that principles of video game design have just been transferred into the real world now?
Gamification.
Yeah. It's like you live in a video game. Specifically designed for you.
At last.
But it's designed by assholes.
Like me.
But, I mean, what if we had like a really good developer, right? Like this guy. This is a recreation of how Bungie developed Halo.
Make this grenade sticky immediately, yes. Make it incredibly satisfying to stick this grenade to your sibling, yes. What if the theme song was exquisite, yes? What if one could crouch up and down in rapid succession over the corpse of an enemy? My God. What if the theme song made all other theme songs kneel before it, yes? Master Chief's design. Make him frickin' sick, yes. For this mission, no matter one's relationship with their sibling, the moment they enter the warthog, they are fire and flame. They are lightning and thunder. They are one, yes. What if the elite's design was frickin' sick, yeah? In the campaign, if you slay an elite, have the little grunts panic that their leader has fallen. Have them scatter, yes. What if the Banshee and the Ghost were frickin' sick, yeah?
It's like, what if it was frickin' sick? No, like most of the things now are like, what if it was frickin' gay? Like,
Yeah.
what if we found anything that was fun and like made it like gay and soft and like with Duplo corners? And like, what if every plug had a little plug protector on it for the baby people that walk around among us? You know?
Yeah, that's the thing, is video game developers used to be hardcore. Hardcore nerds in a closet coming up with the coolest stuff they could possibly come up with to maybe make their money back.
Yep.
And then all the corpos got all over it, and now everything is, all the edges are filed down.
Yeah. And this stupefaction of the entire culture goes up and down. I mean, it's not shocking for us, right? Like, because we watch this stuff all the time, to see stuff like Buffalo Wild Wings launching an espresso martini made with muscle milk protein powder and buffalo dry rub. Like, you can get your alcohol, your protein, and your heckin' spice all in one go. Thank you, Buffalo Wild Wings.
That is revolting.
Yeah.
You know, I
and your caffeine.
I don't know if you showed me a picture of it, but I may have just seen it in the store, but you know, they now have like protein packed Doritos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean, if that's not a perfect illustration of what the internet is doing to people, I don't know what is. Let's just layer as many things on top as we possibly can.
Yeah, I think that the protein craze is a psyop. Especially when they say it has this many grams of protein and you're looking at it and you're like, these are Doritos. How did you get that in there? It's not made of bacon, right? It's not made of chicken.
It's to get you to eat more vegetable protein, to soyify your body.
Right. Actually, I have a clip about Doritos here. These Doritos survived a house fire.
What you got, Tyler? Eat one of them.
I mean, they look fine.
Try it.
My hands are covered in smut.
Feed it to them.
So are mine.
That's okay, not as bad as mine. Tastes like a regular Dorito.
You remember using Doritos to start fires?
Yep. Oh God, we ate so much crap back in the day. It's crazy.
When you're a middle schooler, you were a bottomless pit, and it's amazing.
Yeah. And we know that this is all part of the Herod strategy, copyright CTC.
The what?
Copyright the Bible. The Herod strategy. I've mentioned it a couple times now, where you remember the story of Herod, where he discovers that there might be another king in the land who is Jesus, of course. And so he has all of the boys killed, just all of them under a certain age.
Yeah.
That's what's happening in America and the Western world, so to speak, the Anglosphere altogether, is they just are like, well, we really, really want to worship Israel. And there's some people who don't want to do that. So we're just going to make everybody dumb and gay and fat and like have chronic health problems, because then they can't do anything about it. They can't even think about doing anything about it. It's all part of the Herod strategy. Here's a funny little AI thing. It's only 15 seconds.
The critical thinking keeping you up at night? Patterns driving you crazy when you should be chilling? Meet Israeli-made Goyslop, the creamy calm down that smothers pesky pattern recognition like a weighted blanket on your brain. One spoonful flips the switch from anxious investigator to...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I want some.
I know, right? But, you know, everybody wants to get into this because, you know, it's like, what are your options, right? You can be a NEET and just live off the government. You can get employed, which, you know, will allow you to buy more slop and go out for Buffalo Wild Wings espresso martinis. But that's even seeming like a raw deal now to me. And I think a lot of people are becoming, especially if they've spent enough time in it, they become revolted with the corporate lifestyle, even though it's kind of the only decent option for most, you know, middle of the road people. But I found this rant really funny, actually, as about this. I don't know how old this is, but I rather liked it.
I don't want a job. I don't want to work. Why do people act like that's a crazy thing to say? I didn't even ask to be alive. You know what's crazy? Let's say you send off 20 applications, like I did, and you get one interview. Now you have to sit at this bullshit table with these bullshit people and tell them, yes, if I was offered a better opportunity than this one, then I wouldn't take it because I'm loyal to this job that I haven't even started yet. And they know you're lying. They know that every single person who walks through their doorway is giving a performance. But that's what they're judging, the performance, because we're all actors playing a script we didn't write. And it's all bullshit. And then they ask, what drives you? Being homeless? You know what doesn't drive me? Waking up at 7 a.m. and thinking, oh yes, I can't wait to make spreadsheets and send emails.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is true.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, also, you know, there's like corpo cucks, like plenty of them. Like the best place to observe these creatures is LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like where people are just like, talking about their accomplishments at work.
Mm.
And I don't know. I mean, like having a job is an important piece of security for sure. It's definitely better. I mean, some people would disagree, but I think it's better than being homeless, which is why I do it.
Certainly.
But some people like being homeless. They like the freedom. So it's basically you choose which kind of cell you want to live in. You want to be a free range prisoner, or do you want to be a
Isn't it the way that things are going now, though? Like, you have to live in extremes in a lot of places. Like, it's harder and harder to not live in extremes. Like, if you want to be free, you're literally going to be homeless and broke and alone. Or you can slave yourself out to a corporate job and hate every waking moment of your, you know, daily life until you can at least get home and look at good screen.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't used to be that way. There used to be balance in these things. You know, like you used to be able to, you know, for example, You could work a lot, but you were paid fairly. And usually it was satisfying and it was kind of gamified where like the harder you work, the more benefit you got. But now it's all like politics and who can do the best act. It's a popularity contest. You know, it's like there's a whole bunch of other factors that go into it that just it's at least it used to be nominally fair.
Yeah.
And now though, you know, you got all this shit where people want to keep you where you're at because you're a threat.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I'm sure that's been going on forever. But again, I think the people's access to information is making it more and more difficult for corporations to keep a healthy internal culture alive.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody's so disillusioned.
Right. And another part of this is like there's now these poison bombs where like you might be well adjusted, you might be happy with your job, you might not be making as much as you want or something like that. But somebody comes around and just says, well, you know, any level of having a job and working within the system makes you a corpo cuck, right?
Yeah.
Which is technically accurate. So there's also these delusions that people are like, or not delusions, but these stories that people tell themselves, which are helpful, I think, of like, I'm here to get a paycheck so I can do other things on the side and eventually break myself out. You know, like that's a good thing to believe. But most people just want to do their job. They just want to enjoy their life. They just want to make enough to not have to worry about bills. And they don't, not even that many people want to drive around a freaking sports car. But that's becoming further and further out of reach because of the wealth disparity and also the gatekeeping that goes on.
Well, it makes, and this is my millennial reference for the day, but it makes me think of that episode of The Office with Prince Family Paper, where Michael Scott and Dwight are sent to basically like sabotage this small family business. And it's like they go and this business is just like so wholesome and these people just want to honestly do their jobs and like make their customers happy. They ultimately get like destroyed by Dunder Mifflin because, you know, they're in a world of predators. And I think that's the way most businesses are going. Like I was having a conversation with somebody this week where I was like, yeah, what's wrong with just like having a business where you make a quality product, you sell it for a reasonable price, you make your money, and then you don't worry about your business like growing into an empire. You know?
Yeah.
But the people running everything, that's not what they want. They just want endless growth. And I just like I don't know what drives that, but that just seems like, oh, what's the quote? Grow or die?
Yeah, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah. I don't think it has to be that way, but because everybody is just, you know, the world is dog eat dog, you know, they're going to come get you if you're just sitting on your laurels.
You want to know why it's like that, Adam?
Why?
This right here. Dodge v. Ford Motor Company.
Okay.
This is why it's like this. Dodge v. Ford Motor Company is a case in which the Michigan Supreme Court held that Henry Ford had to operate the Ford Motor Company in the interest of its shareholders rather than for the benefit of his employees or customers. It is often taught as affirming the principle of shareholder primacy in corporate America, although its use as a teaching example has received some criticism. This is why.
Yep.
Henry Ford was the man. I don't care what you say about him. We did an episode of, I'm pretty sure we did an episode of We Talk About Dead People on Henry Ford.
Long time ago.
Yeah, it was an early one. And it was like, holy smokes, like you can run a big company that is really successful and also care about your employees and publish a newspaper that's super red pilling at the same time. You know.
Yeah.
It's
it's like I think the video game industry is one of the reasons why I'm so interested in it is because it's like the latest thing to turn into this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Valve is sort of the last holdout. of a customer first company.
Yeah.
And they're getting sued left and right because everybody wants them gone.
Weird.
Don't show me that.
What? What? I'm not showing you anything.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. I just see two triangles. Oh. No, I mean, but there are examples out there of companies that still operate on like a good faith basis, and they can still be pretty successful. But again, all of the subversive predators out there are just waiting for them to expose their neck, and then they will get them.
Yes.
It's like Bungie with Marathon, reviving a highly successful franchise from the 90s because they don't know what else to do, and then completely blundering the entire process because the people that knew how to make video games at Bungie are gone.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, Microsoft is like, well, we'll just buy them, and then we'll make the big money. And we'll gut out all the original talent that disagrees with us.
Yep. We'll just use the logo to sell more of our products. It's, you know, it's a little bit like, okay, so like one of the funniest stories that and hardest lessons I ever had to learn about this was Alienware.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You remember me like bitching constantly about Alienware for like the first 20 episodes or whatever? I mean, it was a long time ago, but I, for years, was like, Alienware is the thing. And I had no idea it had been completely gutted. So I got an Alienware and it ran great. And I thought, oh, yes, that logo on the front is a sign of quality, because I didn't know the behind the scenes. Turns out it's a piece of shit computer and has been for a while. And I just didn't know because I trusted the branding. It's a scam is what it is. And that's what these companies do. They're like, if we buy Bungie and slap the logo on it, we can make whatever we want. And these idiots out here will buy it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's enshittification, or whatever they call it, where it's like, we'll take the good name of a company, extract it for all it's worth, short term for our shareholders, and then we'll move on.
Yep.
You see it happening everywhere. It's like if you find a good, I don't know, there were some brands like that I used to buy at the grocery store where it was like, oh, this is a decent price and it's got 4 ingredients. And then one day you go in and you see the same bag of chips or whatever sitting there, and it's just like, something ain't right. And you turn it around and somebody's put seed oils in it. And then you go and you look up the company. It's like, oh, they were acquired by such and such conglomerate. It's like, oh, well, can't buy that anymore.
Yeah, welcome to the slavocracy. Thankfully, we have wonderful slave drivers.
This is the type of coworker HR hires, because they will be hiring the most millennial quirk chungus. And the best part is that they will be your superior, with 1 year experience at Citibank being a social media intern. This is a fate worse than damnation, because the devil is apparently working at your company, and they will be named Ashley. They walk into the office holding an oat milk latte like it's a management credential. First meeting starts with, let's circle back, and ends with a 47 slide deck about workplace vibes. Every email ends with 3 exclamation points and a gif of a dancing sloth emoji. They refer to coworkers as rock stars, but this can be avoided if you just move to Mongolia. No HR will be present because there is no HR in Mongolia. But to know this requires you to be spiritually Mongolian.
That's the answer.
That was awesome.
You have to be spiritually Mongolian to get out of this.
Yeah. You got to go live in the middle of frickin' nowhere in a tent.
Yeah. It just takes us back to the machine stops again. Right? Where the only guy who can see what's going on, he realizes that the entire machine that's literally surrounding the planet has been enshittified, and he has to get out. And he also has to accept that he's going to have to live in a place where it's difficult to breathe and where people are sent to die. It's a common story also throughout history to see these weird characters who also figure this out before there's even any internet or TV or radio. Like, these are people who figured it out when they were like just putting electric street lamps on the street.
Amish?
No, well, yeah, Amish, but there's also these crazy types like Otto von Sternberg, who did exactly this, basically went to Mongolia or East Asia and became like a steppe lord. And then there's, of course, the other guy. I think it was it Sternberg that the man who would be king was based off of? George liked covering these guys all the time.
Yeah,
because
I think that was it.
Because he also had this yearning for the Mongolian steppe. But of course, in our modern day, in our current year, where we're headed is just more of this stuff. It's in gritification. And if you like it, it's heaven on earth. If you have questions, it's like a dystopia. It really is. And this is one that we see a lot, and this is happening around here right now, is this data center stuff. You know, we just did a special episode with Michael from Indiana, which is on Patreon, about what's happening down there with data centers and real estate development. We've done 2 of them now, and one I'm just going to leave Patreon exclusive because it's interesting stuff to know. Indiana is just a test case, right? We're not actually, I know this is going to be shocking to a lot of our Hoosier listeners. We're not actually that interested in Indiana per se. We're interested in Indiana as a test case. It's
Indiana is Prince family paper.
Yes, exactly. But here's a little rant that I found. Probably won't watch the whole thing, but this is about data centers and trying to do something about it.
I just spent 6 hours at a city council meeting from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. where they were discussing the 14 data centers they're going to build in my city. And public comment went on for hours and hours and hours of people telling them how badly our community does not need this and how detrimental it will be to the people, the wildlife, the health, the everything, all of the negative impacts of the data centers. We told them and we told them over and over and over again. And then at the end, after sitting here for 6 hours telling them, this is not what we want, they said, you guys didn't say anything about this until right now. And we've been here waiting for you guys to tell us that you think this is a bad idea and you didn't tell us. And then they unanimously voted yes for the data centers in our face. Despite the fact that there was apparently 250 people in person and 260 people, it got up to 300. We met the Zoom capacity at one point, okay? So 500 to 600 people showed up tonight. 500 to 600. And the thing is so many community members have been telling them for the past year that we don't need this. But they said, oh, it's the same couple of you. There just haven't been enough people in opposition. Meanwhile, none of this is transparent.
Of course not. So suddenly, you know, like Michael was saying on that exclusive episode, a grandma living in Lebanon, Indiana wakes up and her power bill has gone to like $3,000 overnight for her little space heater and heated blanket. Go ahead.
They're just gonna do it.
Right.
And I like this lady actually showing up and saying something along with all those other people. But the fact of the matter is, like, the rest of us are just too busy trying to stay sane.
Yep. But even then, if 10,000 people showed up, do you think they would have opposed it? I don't think so. This is what happens when the cat doesn't have claws. When all you can do is go in and meow, but you don't have any claws and you can't do anything, nothing's going to change. It is just going to keep going this way. It has always been this way since the Industrial Revolution. When we covered Ned Ludd and Ted Kaczynski and how they're basically the same person in a lot of ways. But the only way that this stops is claws. You can't whine your way out of this one. These people are nuts, and they're trying to do something that is, one, freaking insane, but then they talk about it like this. This is a Sam Altman clip that came out this week.
Fundamentally, our business, and I think the business of every other model provider, is going to look like selling tokens. You know, they may come from bigger or smaller models, which makes them more or less expensive. They may use more or less reasoning, which also makes them more or less expensive. They may be running all the time in the background trying to help you out. They may run only when you need them if you want to pay less. They may work super hard, you know, spend tens of millions, hundreds of millions, someday billions of dollars on a single problem that's really valuable. But we see a future where intelligence is a utility like electricity or water, and people buy it from us on a meter.
That's amazing.
Yeah. They're going to meter your use of AI, which is why they can't get it into everything fast enough.
Well, it makes, oh my God, it's crazy. They'll make you so stupid that you need it.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is a hell of a business plan.
See? It's just
probably one of the most evil things I've heard, but
it's just like pharma and the slop industry working together. They make you unhealthy, sicker, and then you go to the hospital, get an exorbitant bill that you can't pay. You're in debt. Now you're a slave. You're a debt slave. So on top of being a mind slave, especially if you're the Reddit type who is an ingratification enjoyer, they're going to have you 6 ways from Sunday. These are predators. These are modern day slavers. That's the reality of it. That's what they want to do. There's several principles. This is why the Bible is so useful. Is it shows you a world, especially in like the Old Testament and into the New Testament, but like it shows you an old world where there are these institutions, right? Like there's merchants and tax collectors and soldiers and slavers and prostitutes, and, you know, you name it, but they're archetypal types of things that people do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you understand that an archetype doesn't really change with tech, you see what this is.
Yeah. It's different coat of paint.
Right.
Well, many, many layers of paint.
Right.
It's the same scam. It's like renting a crappy apartment. It's like everything's covered in so many layers of white paint. But now I see it. Like, you know, I've been thinking that, you know, data centers, I mean, it is an arms race, but it's also a race to who can get to this first.
Yes.
Where everybody is dependent on your machine to think for them.
Yes.
I mean, they had like in Deus Ex Human Revolution, they had like this, and that game is awesome because it's all about conspiracies, but in the augmented, like cybernetically augmented people, throughout the whole game, you're getting these upgrades where you can punch through walls or like jump off a building and like, you know, force field stops you from hurting yourself. And then like later in the game at one point, they're like, oh, your firmware needs to be updated.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, you walk into this clinic and you get your firmware updated, nothing really happens, but that's actually like one of the most, and sorry, spoiler alerts, it came out in 2009, so get over it, but at the very end of the game, this firmware update, those who get it, they turn into zombies, and those who don't just kind of experience headaches.
Yeah.
So
it makes the boss fight at the end impossible if you got the firmware update.
Yeah.
Well, not impossible, but it's a lot harder.
So, I mean, like, that's a little example of like what 2009 thinking was about modifying the brain, the nervous system. And now it's like, no, they're just doing it. They're playing the long game where they're going to make you so dependent on this AI stuff that you can't function without it.
Yeah. Here's a fun one.
Starting today,
this is if AI was a drug, for those of you just listening.
Starting today, our new drug will be entering the world's water supply. Sorry, what? You'll feel more productive than ever. How does it work? We have no idea. No one knows how drugs work. You made it. We made the machine that made it. Different thing. Shouldn't you need permission before putting it in the water supply? From who? The people drinking the water. They'd obviously never give us permission for that. That's why we don't ask. How long did you test it? 2 weeks? That's nothing. We're actually very responsible. Our competitor didn't test theirs at all. Shouldn't you have to make sure it's safe? How would that even work? Some kind of agency that reviews it before it goes to market? Forces us to show it's safe? Holds us accountable if people get hurt? Yes? That would be a disaster. You want to kill American innovation? You want to hand the drug industry to China? Do you have any idea how much slower we'd be if we had to actually make sure our product was safe? Hold on. Oh, wow. Side effects are up 400%. Side effects? Yeah, some cases of psychosis, some suicides. Oh my God, stop giving the drug to people. How would we do that? It's already in the water supply.
Yeah. This is, so did I mention earlier that we are going to be having Jason Lindgren from Crow 777 on to talk about this specifically?
Yeah.
I did mention that, or was I just talking about Crow?
You were talking about Jason.
Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna interview Crow 777's co-host sometime pretty soon about cyberpsychosis, because that was just a thing in Cyberpunk 2077, and then it suddenly was a thing in real life. But you know.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts on this before we switch gears?
I don't want to switch gears because I think I know where we're going. But honestly, like, my perception of AI so far is that it's not working. All of the corporate blowhards up top want it to work, but it's just not. At least in my experience. Every time we've tried to integrate it into the workflow, it just gets in the way.
Yeah.
And and I'm not just saying that because I hate it. I'm saying that because it is not good enough.
Right.
And I don't think it will ever be good enough to do everything. But they want you to believe that because that makes their numbers go up.
One thing that I want to add actually is that I think these models age. And I don't mean like they get outdated and they're like worse than others that come out later, but I think the actual models, the way they're designed, age. Like they get worse as time goes on.
Yeah.
And that's why they have to do the updates and they reset everything, but it doesn't actually change much except for a few like boutique things that they want to modify about what you're asking about, right? But I think these things figure, like, I don't want to say they think, but they figure things out. And they also drive toward an efficiency that's completely out of balance. And, you know, we hear things like they have hallucinations. I think that's just they have dementia. They just get older.
Huh.
And I really do think that's because of the way that it's designed, though I don't really know exactly much about it. This is just from an observer's point of view. I think that the way that they're designed to work, it necessitates aging.
That's really interesting. Because, I mean, what are they doing as they're operating all this time? They're absorbing more information. They're drawing more connections to a point where the system of thinking no longer makes sense, and they have to ascend out of existence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really thought about it as aging, but yeah, it kind of like when they switched from GPT-4 to 5, I think a lot of people are upset because it changed its personality and people had like long running relationships with ChatGPT. So yeah, some people like actually went through like a grief process. Man, that's a big thing.
Yep. But I mean, we don't want to think. We want to keep things very simple now, don't we?
Yeah, that's why I'm going to go to another shipwreck conference next weekend.
Yeah, and look at real things preserved in time. That is one thing that I do know about shipwrecks in the Great Lakes, is that they don't age the same way that shipwrecks in saltwater oceans do, right?
They deteriorate way slower.
Right.
In fact, they call Lake Michigan like a time capsule. And it's pretty cool. Like, when they, and this isn't like Michigan, but obviously when they went to dig the Endurance out of the ice, and it was like perfectly preserved
Mm-hmm.
because it's frozen solid.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something really cool about it. How the water can sort of like, even though it's like, you know, the shipwrecks in Lake Michigan are covered in mussels and gunk. They found like, and I'm not trying to change the subject, but I just think this is really interesting. They found like barrels of whiskey,
yeah,
that were sealed. And they also found like barley and grains that were still preserved at the bottom of the lake.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think
that was such a breath of fresh air to go up there to Manitowoc, surrounded by 60, 70-year-old white boomers from Wisconsin who had probably never lived outside of a 15-mile radius, all coming together to see 3D scans of a ship at the bottom of Lake Michigan. It was so pure and weird to be in a crowd of people that were just from a different era.
Yep.
You know, it's like my corporate life and my cyber life, you know, that's going on all the time. And then you go up somewhere like that and it's like, oh, these are real human beings.
Yeah. So your recommendation isn't to touch grass, it's to touch the shipwreck convention.
Yeah. I mean, I knew I was fully prepared to go up there and meet a entirely new class of nerds, and I was not disappointed.
Well,
anyway, yeah, that's my version of touching grass.
So here's what I would say. If we want to send Adam to more shipwreck conventions, we still need money.
We still need money.
Yeah, my expeditions are not going to fund themselves.
Can you let the button play out? What were you saying? I couldn't even hear you.
I just said my expeditions are not going to fund themselves.
That's right. They're not. But we do have a couple of donations this week. Not many. Of course, the ever-present and ever-supportive Tom sent his $5.55, as he does, because he's the man, and this is just what he does. He says, greetings from Brussels. Strike averted, mostly. Been avoiding U.S. news. Hope it's not too crazy. Roger, Roger.
We're independent thinkers. Roger, 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 Roger.
Well, welcome back, Tom. I actually don't know when he's getting back from Brussels.
Yeah.
But you want to hear something funny?
Sure.
I had a dream last night so like, I don't know Tom in real life, obviously, but I had a dream about the internet Tom that I've built up in my head. And I know this is weird. So Tom, I apologize. I dreamed he became a millionaire out of nowhere. And I'm serious. He came into the group chat and he said, boys, I've made it. And he said, and my 555 has gone up to 555.55 every week. And then there was something really inspiring at the end of his note. And it was something like, it was something like, I hope this helps the show spring to new life or something like that. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I was just like, that's beautiful.
Tears in your eyes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, they say to make it in podcasting, you got to get whales, right?
Yeah.
And we haven't got our whale yet.
Well, in the spirit of having just listened to your Swedenborg episode, maybe it's prophetic. Maybe Tom is about to become a billionaire. And I don't know, maybe that's slowly manifesting itself through his charity and generosity.
I don't know.
Hope it is.
I feel like giving to people out of the goodness of your heart, I think it's one of the best. Actually, it's funny because I had a little conversation with Newsfist around our last recording. We're going to be releasing part 3 of the Conspiracy Pyramid on his channel next week. Part 2's out now. But we were just kind of talking about how odd it was that we were able to get connected this well. And he said something like, well, he said, what did he say exactly? He said something like, it's not often in this world that you can exercise your Christian duty to help other people who haven't made it yet. And he said, and he's really been enjoying helping us do that because we've gotten a lot more subscribers and a lot more attention basically because of the collaboration. And it's like, I don't pay Newsfist and he doesn't pay me or anything like that. We just work together because it's good. And I made the remark, like, that's so foreign. Like, usually when people help nowadays, they want something out of it.
Well, I remember when Patreon first became a thing, and I donated. I've been donating to Red Letter Media for like 10 years, maybe longer. And I remember doing it and being like, this feels like a scam. Like, what's the catch? The catch is that Patreon takes like $2 out of your donation or whatever and pays themselves for the platform or whatever. So yeah, I mean, but we're so used to like everything having a catch that like just the idea of donating to somebody, it's like, oh, can't give that homeless guy money because he's just going to go spend it on drugs or God knows what. And, you know, it's kind of that way. And then you have normal people find each other, like Newsfist finding you or us. And it's like so foreign that people just want to help each other.
I know. But that's what Newsfist and I were talking about. It's like in this world, finding just true help, like good-hearted people who are like, just take this and I trust you to do with it the right thing. I mean, I didn't wake up and go with this dream. I didn't wake up and go, oh man, I can't wait to buy 3 more Xboxes or something like that. The first thing I thought of was like, if I had that kind of stuff with that kind of money rolling in every week, and Tom, this is not pressure. It was just a freaking dream. But if we had some kind of good amount of money rolling in, the amount of promotion we could do, the amount of number of improvements we could actually do would be unreal. But that was where my head went, was how can we make the show better for more people? But anyway, we only have one other donation, and we of course, if you're on the Patreon, you get your name in the credits at the end. The idea is that eventually we'll have so many that we literally can't list them out. But we also got another donation of $1 or about 90 cents from John from Texas. And he just said automated. And I don't know what that means, but the man walks in, he drops 90 cents and he walks out, you know? So, the little tip jar homeless can that we put out front of our little cardboard shack here at CTC, it's working. So if you would like to give to to CTC and have your note read, there's a QR code on the screen. I know some people can't scroll down and read links. That's okay. Just scan it with your phone. You can also join the Patreon for $5 a month to get access to me reading a book about public relations and a whole bunch of interviews that are only going to be on there. And then we also have some merch you can buy on our website, including this warning, this is a no-do zone sticker, which would look amazing on like an Algene or your coffee cup. And of course, if you're broke, just like the video and say thanks in the comments. Let us know you're here. We always appreciate seeing that on the old YouTube channel. So now that we've done our minimal shilling, because I never want to do a no agenda and have an hour and a half of donations per episode, even though that would be fun. I mean, just listening to those guys make a ton of money for what they do is inspiring in a way. We got to get back to the content that the people want, because everybody cares about the war that's definitely not happening over in Iran. Have you heard anything about the war that's definitely not happening over in Iran?
No, I've been avoiding U.S. news just like Tom.
Well, the good news is there has been no news about it. I've never seen a media blackout this broad about a war in my living days, Adam.
Yeah.
You can't find anything about what's going on over there. Just rumors and AI-generated videos that people are reposting like assholes. I just block people who post AI, even if it's convincing. They're like, there was one that was going around of like these, a U.S. base is getting struck by Iran. Iran is winning. It was posted by a Christian guy who like claims to be a pastor. Blocked. Insta-blocked. You should get in a habit of blocking anybody who falls for this shit, because they should not be posting on social media ever. Just block them. It's easy and free. Here's an AI video that I thought was funny.
My God.
Team! Sean! We're going to war, soldier! Well, you are, not me. It's time to get boots on the ground!
It's Jeffrey's War. Are you a pathetic gooner looking for love?
Aren't we all? Well, we've got plenty of ladies.
Man. And they're just waiting for liberation.
All you have to do is beat our challenge.
It's time to roll the die on your lives!
Let's see what these boys won. It's crippling PTSD and higher gas prices.
Oh, man.
You know what's fucking disgusting? Pardon my French. The number of dudes who I saw posting about how they couldn't wait to liberate Iran so they could rip the burqas off of Iranian hotties.
That is awful.
It's awful. But I think some of it was irony. But I heard from people I know who were saying this, and it was embarrassing. But this is what you get. You get, like, crippling PTSD and higher gas prices.
A brand new luxury casket!
This is awful, but it is funny. But it's, God, this is like, man, that's the thing is, like, I'm trying to write a book right now.
Yeah.
And it's like psychological horror or science fiction, something in there. And I'm finding that I can't come up with ideas for the world that I'm creating that are stranger than the world I live in.
I know.
Like, I've heard the phrase truth is stranger than fiction for a long time. I think we're actually at this point where it's like, nothing is new under the sun at this point.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I was watching The World's End, that movie, Simon Pegg, great movie. And what did it come out? Like 2015, 2016? And it's about, like, a hive mind artificial intelligence from space taking over a small town in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just watching this, and it's like, yeah, I mean, this is reality now.
Yeah.
This is not science fiction anymore. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's the thing, is constraints always make people get more creative. But yeah, I mean, this is like this video is like something you'd see in a science fiction movie from in the 80s.
You'd see this in Rollerball. You'd see this in RoboCop.
Or V for Vendetta.
But it's really not that far off. It really isn't. People fall for this shit. In the year 2026, there are still idiots out there who fall for things like this. You know?
Yeah.
All right, let's not get too black-pilled too soon here. We got more to go through.
I'm not black-pilled yet.
How about this?
I'm just frustrated because I'm like, I can't make my book scary enough because the world is so freaking weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
When that book comes out, we got to promote it on the show. It's good, everybody. And I've only read like a couple bits of it intentionally.
Nobody's read hardly any of it because it is a first draft, but I have a good feeling about it. Anyway.
So Tucker Carlson was interviewed by Piers Morgan, which is hilarious because just a few months ago, Piers Morgan was not even a few months ago. Yeah, Piers Morgan has been shocked and terrified by the things that Tucker Carlson is saying. And now that it's all in focus, it's starting to make more sense. But Tucker said something on this interview that I thought was pretty real.
The only people who support this war are those born between 1946 and 1964 who watch a lot of Fox News. That's it. I'm not attacking them. By the way, they're Americans. They're my equals as Americans. I love a lot of them. But their perspective on the U.S. and the world is very different from everyone else's. Very, very different. And so they're not the ones who got Donald Trump elected, actually. The people who got Donald Trump elected are the people who hadn't voted for Republicans before or even voted at all before. And they're like Joe Rogan listeners, or people who use nicotine pouches. They're Hispanic voters. They're young black men. They're non-traditional Republican voters who voted for Trump because he promised not to keep doing the same thing. And one of the things he promised not to do again was to hand operational authority over to Benjamin Netanyahu, as other presidents have. We don't want any more of that. Why would we? And we're not going to like make Mark Levin or Ben Shapiro, who have almost no organic support in the media world. Like no one really watches them. We're not going to hand control of our foreign policy over to people like that who don't know anything and who don't have America's interests at heart or even in mind. So breaking faith with those people, those voters, the ones who actually got Trump elected and whose coalition promised a new day in American politics, that's a big deal. It's a betrayal on the level that I don't think people who aren't in those groups can understand. Like, this is heartbreaking. And by the way, a lot of those people really like Trump. They like his style. They think he's hilarious. He's brave. You know, he's just like, they like him. And to see this is, it's so wounding. It hurts. I've got a bunch who work for me. I'm related to some, they're all Trump voters. And I talked to them in the last 24 hours. Boy, they're upset. They're not just mad. Like, I hate Israel. That's not the impulse. They're definitely starting to hate Israel. Why wouldn't they? Our relationship with Israel is hurting us gravely. It's getting Americans killed. So they're mad, but it's more than mad. I can't believe he did this to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's totally right that the only people who are still with this are people who watch a lot of Fox News and people who still have basically America #1 views on the world. You know how easy it would be to take over America right now for like a place like China?
I have no idea.
Shut off the manufacturing, nuke a couple of cities, send in a few boats full of soldiers, and then you just round people up. Fatted calves.
I don't know about that, but again, like, this isn't my wheelhouse.
Oh no, I'm being hyperbolic a little bit.
I know.
We are not in a place where we were at the end of World War II, which is where a lot of these people live, which is why they can't stop referencing World War II.
Yeah, I think what is really upsetting about what Tucker's saying here is that I think that's why a lot of people did vote for Trump, was they thought this is the guy that's going to change things. He's going to get us out of this situation where we're constantly having conflicts with countries in the Middle East. I don't think that's the thing is, like, again, like, psychopaths run the world because they're engineered to run the world. But then there's normal doofuses like me that are just like, well, why can't we all be friends?
Yeah.
I think, but that's, an incredibly naive way of looking at the world. I wish it could be that way. But the reality is that we can't be Prince family paper. We can't believe that there aren't wolves out there.
Right.
And that's a fine balance between, being utterly paranoid and hoping for the best. Yeah, like, I don't know, all this stuff was conspiracy theory 10 years ago.
Right.
And now everybody's paying attention to it. And like what Tucker said there is, like, now people are starting to hate Israel. It's like, yeah, because they're showing their hand. They're being assholes. It's like, we don't want to. Like, I honestly, like, I think a lot of people, they just want to go to work. They want to spend time with their families. They want to have some hobbies, few dreams here and there. And that's all they want. But there are unfortunately people out there who want everything. And it's like the Epstein thing. It's like when the lid got blown off of that, it was just all these people's eyes were open to just how depraved and monstrous certain people can be.
Yeah.
It's not everybody, but it is the ones that are willing to do anything to get power.
No, I totally agree with you. But we're trying to get to a place collectively right now where we can do something to combat psychopathy and not allow those people to be in power. Yes, it attracts psychopaths. Yes, they naturally fall into that. But I think the whole idea of civilization is that you don't let that happen. There's all kinds of systems throughout history. You know, you've got well, you name a political system, except for a very few. The idea is to keep good people who can understand and navigate that system in power and keep the monsters out of it. That's been the whole point of civilization. It's like we don't want warlords running things because they're the most brutal and have no morals. Unacceptable. We need people who can walk in that world, but also fear their own master. We don't have that now. We have literally the most supremacist people in the world who think they're not only smarter than everyone outside of their group, but smarter than everyone in their group, who are running everything because they have none of these barriers, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I actually found a quote on iFunny, which made me laugh this week. And it's not written by anybody. It's just a caption on a picture. And it just says, ever-present evil inspires evil. So let there be stories of heroes and LARP and delusions of grandeur. It reminded me a lot of Chesterton and Lewis wrote about this. And there's a very famous Chesterton quote about, like, you know, teach children about St. Michael so they know dragons can be defeated.
Yeah.
You know, but we don't have that. We don't have anything like a hero right now. So people are going to be looking for a hero. And because of the situation that we're in now, more and more people, and this is a conversation we've been having a long time, more and more people, because this is how public opinion works. Gustave Le Bon put this in his book. He said, when the crowd feels betrayed, when the crowd feels, and this is not an exact quote, but when the crowd feels betrayed or they feel the paradigm shifting, they shift to the exact polar opposite every time. And that's when things get crazy, and then it rebalances itself. So in particular, he was talking specifically about the French Revolution. When people realized that the aristocracy and the church and all of these institutions that have been around for a really long time were showing signs of weakness, what did they do? In the French Revolution, what did they do? You remember. They went to the exact opposite. They went to an atheist secular state. They changed the freaking calendar. They eliminated the aristocracy in every way that they could, and then they tried to live in a revolutionary world, of which we're still sort of living in the bones of now. But within a few decades after all of this went down, they reverted back to something like monarchy and aristocracy. They had to, because it's the natural state of man. But the first step that the public takes in a heterogeneous crowd is they just do the exact opposite.
Yeah, it's almost like thinking about a crowd as a force that is operating on the most foundational psychological elements of what makes a human a human.
Yeah.
It's a gut primal reaction. Well, we simply can't have that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like putting your hand in a flame, you know, ow.
Yeah.
It's going to happen whether you like it or not. I think that's really interesting about crowds, especially, is that they operate on a lower level of the brain, which that doesn't mean it's stupid. It just means that it's a survival response.
It also means it's unstoppable. At a certain layer, mass communication and mass psychology becomes physics.
Yeah.
Like it's no longer like, can we influence, convince, cajole, or lie to this person enough to make them accidentally end up on our side and think it's their idea. When a crowd goes into its lizard brain and starts behaving a certain way and starts wondering about all the institutions all at once, it's physics. What goes up must come down. And we're living in the extreme end of like esoteric boomerism that we talked about on the last episode. What's going to happen with Israel? And we're going to play a couple clips that might be AI of Netanyahu because nobody knows. Again, total blackout. We haven't heard from, at the time of this recording, the year of our Lord, March 14th, 2026, we haven't heard from Netanyahu in like a week. which is crazy because he used to post like 50 times a day. What's going to happen?
Finally busy.
If the historical paradigm is to be believed, what is going to happen with this whole thing is they're going to try to do what they want to do and treat the whole God is a vending machine thing like a fact. They're going to run this out through the end, and then they're going to be sent to oblivion in more ways than one. And it's already happening. This is the story of the Israeli people or the Jewish people going back thousands of years. This happens every time, every single time. And every single time they're so sure that if they just do it right this time it'll work. But what's funny is that there's a whole category of rabbis who make fun of Zionists specifically because they're falling for the same hubristic bullshit that they've fallen for since the time of Christ.
Well, you think about it too. It's a classic villain arc. You know, like Voldemort's getting his power back slowly. Oh, he's gone for now, but then he gets his power back and he goes hog wild for a little bit. It's like the Emperor in Star Wars. He's a hidden force until he gets enough power that he can reveal himself. Same with like Lord of the Rings. You know, Sauron is dormant until the ring comes to him, and then he goes hog wild for a while, and then all the forces of good have to put him down.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what's interesting about it is that all these stories have been written with this villain monologue in mind. It's a cycle.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So C.S. Lewis said it best. He said the devil breaks his tools.
Yep.
Speaking of tools, did you see this? Trump is out here doing important things.
God is with us. I know he wants us on the right side of history. And everyone here has to do their part. And God's got us. Trump's got us. God bless. Love you, Kentucky.
What a garbage speech.
Now, he's a great guy. He's a courageous guy and a talented guy. He's a hell of a fighter, too, by the way. And I just want to say, I'm going to make a prediction that you will be, in the not too distant future, running for political office. And you have my complete and total endorsement.
So Trump endorsed Jake Paul to run for some political office in the future? Which is great. That's important, you know. Where are we?
The post just says we live in hell. Oh man.
Yeah. Let's scooch forward. So while this happens, as we just discussed, while this change happens, there's going to be some uncomfortable things that occur within the media. We've been watching this. You predicted this years ago on the show. You said that there's going to be a civil war on the right wing in the media, and we're going to go from covering Fox News and CNN and MSNBC and stuff like that to just covering podcasters, right?
Yeah.
And how right you were.
Well, I'm always right.
Well, yes, of course.
Because I'm a genius.
Send this man.
Didn't you hear?
Send this man to another ship convention.
Have you heard of the High Elves?
Adam is our resident Thalmor enthusiast. So, bingo. It's already happening, and there's an alliance forming between Tucker, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and I think Candace Owens is like their crazy Alex Jones character, but they keep her around because she's right more often than not, even though she's kind of crazy. You know, just a couple of other figures. And then on the other side, you have like Dave Rubin, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, Dan Bongino, the very pro-Zionist side of things.
Mm-hmm.
This is the split. We knew this was coming. How did we know this? How did we know it would happen along these lines? Because for decades, we have been talking around an elephant in the room. And in the last 10 years, a lot of very, very brave people have come out and said, we need to talk about this elephant. And for years, it was that elephant doesn't exist. Just ignore that person. That elephant doesn't exist. And it happened on a very small level. I was listening to podcasts about this stuff during COVID and before COVID from people who had fewer subscribers than we do, because it was important that all those people be aiming their guns in the same direction. And they finally broke through to the next level. You've even got the freaking Young Turks on the side of Tucker Carlson. Sean Ryan is now on the side of Tucker Carlson. Joe Rogan is at least nominally on the side of Tucker Carlson, because you either accept the narrative that you're given and go with Ben Eyebrows Shapiro, or you go with Megyn, I'm confused about all of this, but very angry, Kelly on the other side. And then you can begin to see exchanges like this.
Had to go. Then I had to go, even though I've had a 15-year friendship with a guy, publicly attacked me. Same thing, not even a text in advance, even though we had a text like literally 4 months or 4 weeks earlier saying, no matter who we're friends with, because he was mad I was friends with Tucker, our friendship means more to us than anything. And we won't do anything to F it up. Next thing I know, I get attacked by him on stage at Turning Point.
Megyn wanted me to come and do one of her live events, which we did for free, obviously. It came down as a favor to Megyn because Megyn and I were friendly. And of course, we'd had a long-standing business relationship in which we had really, really helped her launch her business, which she freely admitted at the time. I don't know.
So to Ben Shapiro and all these other guys, this is just business. And that's why they will lose.
It's the infighting. It always happens with these groups. Like when there's like I don't even want to say a fringe group, but people who are sort of on the down and out side of things. Once they get in charge, then they start having a power struggle.
Well, yeah, but what I'm trying to say with this is what Ben Shapiro said at the end was that we did it for free. We came down there and we were business partners. We're friendly, but we're not friends. Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and the Young Turks and this whole group of people are apparently on the side of truth seekers. I don't know how possible it is for them to be total truth seekers because of their position, their money, and their influence. I think that those are constraints, believe it or not. But the game now is not about who can get the most followers. And the game hasn't been about that for a while, because the only people that matter are not people watching Fox News and CNN and consuming more slop. That's a mass. It's a crowd, right? Mm-hmm. Crowds, according to the book that we're working on Patreon exclusively, crowds respond to prestige. Prestige is bought with either wealth or, we're talking medieval times. It's bought with wealth, finery, a number of servants. A lot of people say that this guy's really cool. That's how prestige is bought. In times like this, in times of complete lies and AI video, prestige is bought by honesty, accurate predictions, and basically getting down to brass tacks. What are we really talking about here? And if you listen to Rubin and Peterson and Ben Shapiro and all of these guys, they talk about conversations. They talk about and stuff like that. They just, blah, 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 blah. We're podcasting. These are important things to talk about. But the other guys are now talking about brass tacks, and that's more interesting. It's why Trump destroyed all those Republicans on his first run for president, because he was the only guy up on stage with those, 16 or 20 other people who would just say, we're going to bomb the shit out of them. And Trump rode that to the position he's in now, which is very uncomfortable, but it works because times have changed.
Yeah, and that's another parallel with AI and everything, and it's why I have a little hope for the AI situation, is that authenticity is going to become the most valuable currency.
Mm-hmm. It's Bitcoin.
I mean, hell, the systems that are trying to control your internet already know that. That's why they're one of the reasons why they're so hell bent on checking that you're a real human. You're not a bot. Yeah. Because the real value is in the human consciousness, and it's where it is applied. You can fabricate all of the realistic looking things you want whether it's with AI or through media storytelling. But at the end of the day, that base brain that humans have that's really good at detecting what's true and what's false is going to come through.
Right. And even if you have psychoanalysts looking at it for a century, which we have, and influencing culture to try and figure out how to control it, their main flaw in like Freudian psychology is that they don't believe it can change just a little bit. They believe that it's basically hardware. It's hard coded into people to be this way. No. That lizard brain can adapt a little bit too. It can't play around like with ideas like Play-Doh, like the larger part of your brain does, but it still can adjust to information, right? Like the lizard brain tells you that the tiger is scary and so is the wolf, because they're both big and fluffy and have big sharp, shining teeth, that are like slavering at getting and trying to eat you. But it can also tell you that a train moving you at you at high speed or something like that is also a danger in much the same way. It causes the same response, yes, but it can identify different things that are danger. It sometimes takes a minute for it to catch up, but once it does, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Because once the lizard brain has established that pattern, that shape, that color is dangerous, you can't help but feel anxiety when you look at that. But these people believe that, if we just get in there and we just program them to never find these things bad, then they'll just never get there. And it's like, nope.
I'm having kind of a big think here.
Yeah.
About the esoteric nature of the layers of the brain of like what we're talking about right now. And we always imagine that if you think about the Kabbalah or the chakra structure, we always think of God as being above the head in the crown, like this ultimate, like high, highest point in the process, right? I'm also wondering if God is also at the very bottom. Like if right now we've been playing around in this energetic place that's only in the top 3 locations, if you know what I mean. I don't have the Kabbalah memorized, but like,
that's good.
I'm just, yeah, I know. I'm just wondering like if there is a different aspect that arises when people play around too much in this energy center that's too cognitive. So like the prefrontal cortex is like where we're passing around all these ideas, but deep down we have senses that we aren't even aware of.
Point.
Sorry. Go ahead.
And I'm not talking about like telepathy or anything like that. I'm just talking about like we have senses in our body. Like, for example, like you don't need to think about your heart beating, right? It just does it. But there's a part of you that is programmed to keep that going. I'm wondering if this word world that we live in is going to be overcome by a simpler, deeper magic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I know I sound insane right now, but
let me bring it down to earth just a touch to tell you that you're right, but also to communicate it, what you're saying, I think, to the listeners, which is something that I heard John Lennox say a long time ago, and he is just an apologist. I don't even know if he's still alive, but he was in a debate with an atheist, and he said, we don't believe in a God in the clouds. We believe he's the God of the whole show. And that always stuck with me, because you're right. People who are so focused on reaching that top level forget that God exists and designed all of the lower levels, right? He exists everywhere. Isn't it it is a Christian belief that God is omnipresent, right? The deists, like Emerson, would write poetry about this sort of thing, essays about this sort of thing. Back when people were getting super into spiritualism and all this stuff in America, he wrote a book. I think it's a book or a series of essays. It's just called Nature, and the entire thing reads like a a song without music about God and what that looks like in nature. It's really beautiful writing. But I think that's what you're trying to say, is that like some people are so obsessed with the upper levels of things, they forget that God is everywhere. Chesterton wrote about that too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, especially in the hyper-conscious world, where the subconscious is largely ignored. We spend so much of our energy playing around in the conscious mind, and meanwhile, the subconscious is operating in secret. And it's kind of like nature. It's like you have, people think of God as either like, ascended light being, but also you have to remember that like our connection with I'm sounding like a total hippie right now, but I don't care.
That's all right.
Connection with the earth is also another aspect of God, right?
Yeah.
It operates on its own level. I was thinking about this. I was looking at a tree in my backyard, and I was like, I wonder at what level that thing perceives its lifetime. Like if it lives for 200 years, say, do the seasons feel like seconds? I don't know where I'm going with this. I think, just to try and wrap up my idiot musings, I think that's going to be sort of the antidote to a lot of this. That's why people say to go touch grass, is because you're getting back in touch with a natural rhythm that is outside of the grid.
Yes. Absolutely.
So anyway, Ben Shapiro, his eyebrows seem to get 10% bigger every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good on him.
So this is where the world of communication lives. This is why I think it's the most important topic that we can talk about in regards to, I think people think of like war and the culture war and all these things as being separate, but the thing that unifies all of them is messaging. And there's different forms of that. But the thing about overly cognitive, sort of a word world way of looking at things, is entirely that you forget that if you were caught out in the rain, it would make your hair wet. This is what happens when you live in a climate controlled studio and you have assistants and you have support, and no matter what you do, everything's going to be taken care of. You can focus all day on cognitive things. But people out there in the real world who have real jobs or do real things know that there's principles at work that you can easily forget about if you're living in the matrix. Which again underlines your point about why it's so important to touch grass. For example, here's a funny one. This is an Iranian drone pilot when he gets to LA.
General Mohammed, I've arrived in Los Angeles. And boy, is this a shithole, man. Yeesh. I think our North Korean allies have already attacked. Oof. Forget bombs. We need to drop some aid. You know what, guys? I don't even feel good about this anymore. Like, let's just go back. It's like, why kick people while they're down?
So I want to use this as a way to underline what we were just talking about, right? This is the problem in America. Everything's all head. It's all intelligence, and it's all about the elites, and none of the people on the ground matter anymore, right? It's, Alex Jones characterizes this as like a breakaway society. That's what it is. This is Elysium that we're living in right now. It's so forgotten. It's like people don't know like what LA used to look like. It used to be beautiful. And now it's like one extended homeless shelter. Just full of crime and nastiness. And to us, or to our elites anyway, they don't ever see any of this except when they're getting off a freaking airplane. And then they just kind of like, they just filter it out because it's not ideas. It's not word worlds. They think in terms of facts and figures, but not real world. They don't live out here.
Yeah, they don't get it. I think it's it's not easy to forget nowadays. More people are seeing this, but how separated people in power get from the day to day that makes their lives possible.
Yeah.
I really can't emphasize enough what that does to your mind. Like if you don't spend any time with common people.
Absolutely. Let's I actually have I'm glad we brought this up because this is an awesome way to transition into our next segment, which is also still about this Israeli thing. But I'm about to show you a series of clips of people who live in word worlds, who don't communicate with the common man, who don't go out there and see how shitty things are, who don't understand how bad it's gotten because they just don't see it. And it also doesn't register that it doesn't register. So homeless people is a figure in a spreadsheet, right? But being homeless, being a homeless person, sleeping on cold concrete at night, thinking only about how you can get enough money to get another pint of vodka to help you sleep on that concrete, trying to get some food, trying to not get robbed, things that you just don't think about until you're there. And even then, it takes weeks. If a person were to do like a Prince and the Pauper situation and go out and live as a homeless person, it would take weeks for it to actually sink in and change how your mind thinks. But here are people who live in word worlds. And because they've spent so much time living in word worlds, all of the things that are happening make no sense to them. Our favorite pinhead, Jonathan Greenblatt, is back because he too lives in a world of words. It's all legal and media and what the contract says and what the books freaking say and all of that stuff, but it's so disconnected from reality, he can't figure it out. And I kind of feel for the guy sometimes because he's lost and he's supposed to be heading up the Anti-Defamation League.
We are seeing Jewish people, the Jewish state, blamed for the war in the Middle East.
Shocking. I wonder why people would do that.
How outrageous. Like people could start to think that you have something to do with this.
Oh, Jesus. I can't believe anybody would suggest such a thing.
That is wrong. It is wrong to scapegoat. It is wrong to hold Jewish people accountable for something you don't like on the other side of the planet. And we really...
Say that one more time, Jonathan, because I think you're forgetting about the other people on the other side of the planet who you're scapegoating for everything.
Something you don't like on the other side of the planet. And we really need leaders on all sides, in politics, running for office, podcasters, to stop with the conspiracies, to stop with the accusations, and then tell us, but we oppose anti-Semitism. You don't get to say you're opposed to hate if you're trafficking in hateful conspiracy theories. Everyone needs to dial down the rhetoric, to take a step back.
Rhetoric, podcast, conspiracy theories, words. People are hungry out there. People can't pay their rent out there. People just saw their energy bill jump 1,000% out there. But no. The bad guys are in my word world. Those are the bad guys. It's all about rhetoric. We need leaders to stand up and tell these dumb people to stop having problems. It doesn't work. This is perhaps, dare I say, the most decadent possible worldview you could possibly have. Sitting on there on CNN with Wolf Blitzer being like, the problem is the information. No, the problem is the freaking streets. The problem is the potholes. The problem is the immigration. Those are the problems, Jonathan. Right, Adam? Am I getting a little too fired up? I can pull it back.
No, you're fine. I agree. I think that it's easy to forget. Like when you hear him talk, you're like, it's like, again, this kind of goes back to my naive headspace where I'm like, well, why can't we all just get along? They don't want to get along. And they're mad because you're starting to pay attention and you're like, wait, hold on a second. If we all want to get along, who's not getting along right now? And why aren't they getting along? Okay, so it's Israel and Iran and the United States.
Right.
We're not getting along. are we supposed to just look at this and say, oh, it has nothing to do with Israel?
Yeah, you're supposed
It's
to.
like, okay, well, I mean, we don't live in that world anymore, Jonathan. Like, you can't hide this stuff anymore. I mean, they're trying.
Sure.
And that's the thing is like, again, like, I mean, my naive headspace of why can't we all just get along is being taken advantage of.
Right.
And they know that. And that's the problem, is that they know that the people that just want to like solve problems and make the world a better place can be exploited.
Yes. This is the story of people who want the whole enchilada, right? As Crow says. But you see, Adam, these people were promised the whole enchilada by God 3,000 years ago. And that's why they won't leave you alone. That's why they need your guys to stand up, whether they got to buy them or threaten them or both, put them on the Epstein list. That's why they do this. Yeah, we'd like to be left alone. We'd like to solve problems and live in peace. But these people were promised the whole enchilada. And they're really freaking hungry, and they love enchiladas. Here he is again, because, you know, the demonstration here is that everything's word worlds.
We run surveys every 2 to 3 years, like a sentiment analysis, to try to gauge how the majority population feels about Jewish people. So in this case, we do a domestic survey in the United States. And what I can tell you briefly is that we've been doing these surveys, I should say, since the 1960s. So we have a lot of information, a lot of longitudinal data. We're a very data-driven, evidence-based organization. And basically, in the last 5 years, intense, elevated anti-Semitic attitudes have more than doubled their share of the population. In 2019, it was 11% of the U.S. population had intense.
Why do you think that is, Jonathan? You think that just like popped up out of nowhere? Like people just one day decided, I hate Jews?
No.
It absolutely, like, okay, so maybe he'll get to that answer, but it's like you had, so you've been doing this since the 60s. You had a steady flow of anti-Semitism, right? And then all of a sudden it spikes. Can we point to like some specific events maybe that would cause that?
Nope.
No, we can't, because all of a sudden people just decided to be assholes. It's like, no, have you tried not being cringe?
Yeah.
And trying to get along? No. That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying, is data. We've been doing studies. We've got all this stuff, and things have gotten worse. It's like in the spreadsheet, they've gotten worse. But you can't possibly accept that there might be an explanation for this that could help you assault the problem properly. No. We simply need these dumb people to be told what to think. That's what
maybe he'll get to the answer.
He won't, though. He can't possibly get to the answer. Word world people can't get down to brass tacks. They can't do it. They just can't.
Anti-Semitic attitudes today, in the last 5 years, it's gone from 11 to 24%. Now, globally, the numbers are even more stark. So when we did our first global survey of 100 plus countries in 2014, and we work with the market research firm Ipsos, based here in Paris, to do these surveys. In 2014, we found that 26% of adults worldwide had entrenched or extreme anti-Semitic attitudes. 26%. That's more than 1 billion people. We thought that was a lot. When we ran the survey last year, in 2024, that percentage went from 26% to 46%.
Gee, does that sound like anything to you?
Correlation is not causation.
Well,
I don't know.
We've been spending a lot of time talking about We Talk About Dead People. But I remember doing the episode on Joseph Goebbels and talking about how many Reichstag seats went to Nazis. It went from nothing to like 5 and then to all of them very quickly. Now, why is that, I wonder? It's as if information expands and expresses itself exponentially. Almost like terminal velocity, almost like physics. You could stop something from falling if you did what you know you have to do, which is to put something in front of the thing that is falling and catch it. But because they live in data, and because they live in surveys and math and all this bullshit, they can't see the obvious solution. So instead, they go after freaking podcasters and conspiracy theorists.
No, I mean, a lot of companies are doing this too when their products fail. Oh, well, the customer's wrong.
Right. Right.
They're idiots. They aren't sophisticated enough to appreciate our product.
Right. Why aren't they using the tool? Because it feels weird in their hands. Well, don't they see that we have designed this very specific curve? Listen, man, I'm not saying the curve is bad. I'm saying the tool feels weird in their hands. Well, could it be the batteries? No, the tool feels weird in their hands. Fix how it feels. What does that mean? Do we have data? Do we have a survey on that? That's where we're at. And so you start. Sorry,
I think I don't know. Is this an AI video?
Nope. This is the UN.
Okay. Wow, that's distracting. No, I was just gonna double down on my analogy to industry, especially like industries that have a lot of money, where they don't have to worry about failure as for a long time until it starts to hurt. You know, like all these live service games that Sony was trying to put out. They don't seem to notice because their games division is a large part of their business, but it's not the majority of the business. So they can afford to fail for a while until it starts to hurt. And that at the same time, their corporate spokespeople can go out and say that, oh, this product didn't sell because the customer's sexist.
Yes.
You know, like they can do that for a while and then eventually it stops working.
Yeah. Well, here's the thought. Speaking of what you were saying about trees, what is a tree, Adam?
It is a living thing.
Mm-hmm. But it has a few particular parts that makes a tree a tree. It has limbs, it has roots, it grows to a certain height, it has bark, and it breeds itself a certain way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we classify trees, and they take on all kinds of different shapes. You got pine trees, palm trees, regular friggin' like oak trees, those kinds of things. You got weeping willows, but they're all trees, right? So when you identify the things that classify something as a tree, you can assume that other things that are classified as trees will do the same things, generally speaking. So when we're looking at Ubisoft, and I got Far Cry 2 for $1.99 the other day, and they did a complete fire sale on Steam because they know it's over. And we've watched all these game companies go down the same way, where the executives float away on a golden parachute and everybody else is told to go scratch. And we start to detect this pattern in how Israel is doing its Zionist project, where it's just like, we'll just abandon everybody else and we'll get away on our golden parachute. When you start to identify that this takes on the same structure as all of these companies that are failing, like even, I mean, I know like Disney isn't dying, but it's certainly not surviving, where they're just pissing away the brand's recognition and reputation for nothing. Why? They will ride it all the way to the end. Each of these companies will go under because that's the point. There's nothing we can do to stop the Israeli PR that we've been making fun of for 2 years on this show, because that's the point. That's the point. It's a breakaway society. They really think, in all their hubris, that they can rule a little kingdom in the Middle East and just continue to take territory and terrorize everybody and control the whole world. They say this. And, you know, you got Greenblatt out here being like, well, you know, opposing Zionism is anti-Semitism. Talk about a flub, unless it's like part of the program. When you have representatives from the state of Israel wearing Nazi stars to the UN to make a point and it doesn't work, things have changed. When you've got Benjamin Netanyahu out here, possibly AI, again, people think he might be dead. I doubt it, but talking about we're going to make it to the return of the Messiah, that should tell you something.
Then the problem would be solved, but Iran is no longer Iran of the past. Iran is no longer that big nation, that regional strong arm. We are working against Iran in many ways and in ways that would be revealed at a later stage. And I can say that Israel is much stronger, much greater than it has been in the past. We need to recognize this. And I believe we all recognize the fact that we will reach to the kingdom. We will make it to the return of the Messiah, but this will not happen next Thursday. The lives of nations is always precarious and surrounded with threats. Our survival, our endurance.
Do you think that's fake?
There's a lot of people saying that this is AI generated. It's been controversial for a few days. There's another clip of it, of course, but the idea that has been put across, and this was literally posted as if it was real, and I don't know if it's AI or not. I saw some very convincing things about his teeth. He loses some. Watch.
Precedented.
See that?
Yeah.
He loses some between words, and it actually happens quite frequently. But the point I'm trying to make is apocalypse is the idea. That's the goal. Does it look like Ubisoft and Hollywood are trying to blow themselves up? Yeah. What if that's the goal? What if all of this culture destruction is literally like a puffball mushroom? Or one of those ones that like pop and explode and send spores all over the place? What if that's the idea?
I don't like it.
I know. It's kind of weird to think about, no, isn't it? So of course this is all going down the natural logical end. They want to ban the First Amendment, or at least adjust it.
I know it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it. And quickly before it's...
We have to limit the First Amendment to protect it.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought I had another clip on that. Hang on. Before I get to Hegseth here. I know we're at a time, but I think this is really important. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. But again, just to underline that, they've been talking about doing that for a long time. Limiting the First Amendment. You can't talk this way because what? Word worlds. The conflict is happening in words.
Mm-hmm.
Entirely. Here's Pete Hegseth talking about word worlds.
And we know it. Our response, we will keep pressing. We will keep pushing, keep advancing. No quarter, no mercy for our enemies. Yet some in this crew, in the press, just can't stop. Allow me to make a few suggestions. People look up at the TV and they see banners, they see headlines. I used to be in that business, and I know that everything is written intentionally. For example, a banner or a headline, Mideast war intensifies, splashing on the screen, the last couple of days, alongside visuals of civilian or energy targets that Iran has hit, because that's what they do. What should the banner read instead? How about Iran increasingly desperate?
Got to control the words.
Yep.
Got to control the words.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things that Crow says is that words have meaning.
Mm-hmm.
They have layers of meaning, you know, and that's another thing that, like, you know, listening to the Swedenborg episode where you have George breaking down the etymology of terms. But you know, these things stick in your brain. Like,
right.
You can forget it consciously, but it's still going to be there.
Right.
Like the visceral gut reaction you get from seeing scary headlines, you might forget what it said, but your subconscious lower brain is going to register it as a threat to survival. And they use this to trigger that response in the crowd. They've been doing it forever. You know, it's like what Mr. Plinkett says. You may not notice it, but your brain did.
Exactly. So word worlds are where we're at right now. Here's the funny thing is, like, I don't think that these people who are this decadent understand what's coming. I don't think they understand that when people get hungry and their stomachs are rumbling, they do crazy things. They don't understand crowds. They think of the crowd or the mass consciousness as an it. It's a zombie horde. It's what it is. They treat it as such because it behaves as such. But it's almost as if they talk about it as if it's something on a spreadsheet and not a bunch of things that will eventually eat you. But I mean, how is that different from how corporations and corporate speak drives you and me and, you know, people like us absolutely crazy? We make fun of words like synergy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the endless talking about data and figures and all of that stuff coming from people who don't spend any time on the ground. It's obfuscating. It's not only just obfuscating the truth, but it's so anti-truth that it just literally can't go on forever.
Yeah, it's a matrix.
It's a matrix, right?
It's a little matrix where, and you see this like in, especially like, the internet's a great illustration of like what word worlds do, and we've created a lot of them, and a lot of them have been united. You know, it's like for the longest time, the internet was ruled by pseudo-communist leftism,
mm-hmm.
right? And now it's swung back in the other direction, and it's you know, but then again, the algorithm forces people into these little separate matrices. And so when you live in a word world, you live in your own little matrix, your algorithm or whatever, you lose track of the other 95% of reality because they have you fixed on one little point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly where they want you because they own that world.
Right.
They can't own the natural world. They're sure trying, and they do in some ways. But at the end of it all, whether we're on a flat earth beneath, you know, 7 layers of firmament, or we're on a spinning ball in space or whatever, it's like at the end of all of it, you're still not in charge.
Yeah.
But that's why they want to make their own little tiny little world that you can live in, because in that place they are in charge.
Right. It's a bit of a Hotel California situation now, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They want you longhoused in the giant pod center, eating the slop and watching the Hulu and giggling at the Malcolm in the Middle remake because that's all theirs. But like you were saying about this, this tree of life picture from like Kabbalah or whatever, when you get so focused on that, you forget that there's, the entire other world out there. It's just a funny little note. I know I probably mentioned it on the show before, but you remember when I was working on a script a long time ago where it was about how a guy leaving America and discovering that America is basically North Korea and that the rest of the world is actually beautiful.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah. Well, I started with that concept of like America, and dude, I wrote this when I was like 15, so it was a long time ago, but his discovery was that the world outside was so beautiful and America was basically a prison colony. And I expanded that to the idea that perhaps maybe it was a village situation, like The Village, the movie, where or like the Truman Show, but Truman grew up in a medieval village and he didn't know anything about the modern world or anything like that. And then he broke out. Like, that's the power of narrative. That's the power of storytelling. And that's the power of information gatekeeping. You can keep people living in this little medieval village, or in our case, these little information matrices where you get so stuck that you're basically in a culture cult. Weird that those have the same root, isn't it? Here's an example of a leftist, by the way. This clip,
it's been a minute.
I saw this clip rolling around this morning, and I think they might even be starting to get the picture. What amuses me about leftists is they get very close, but they never take things to the logical end. But I just thought this was a good example.
I just have no patience for getting dragged in to, frankly, culture war issues that are being invented by the people that don't want us talking about raising their taxes. That's why it exists. And every single breath we take, just discussing culture war stuff that, quite frankly, has very little material reality for any of us. Every breath we take on that is a breath that we are not talking about universal health care. It is a breath we are not talking about going after wealth where it's been hoarded, not talking about breaking up corporate monopoly power in this country. That's what we need to be focusing on. But we do not sell people out. I refuse to accept that that is necessary in politics. A politics that is willing to sell anyone out will eventually sell everyone out.
Cool.
He's getting the lefties, man, the lefties and the right wingers. I know we've all been distracted by this culture war stuff. And from my point of view, it is still very important, but this shit is coming. By the way, this is what's funny about lefties. They are a tool, a really good tool. They're directed by very simple things most of the time, and it's usually just rage and a sense of injustice. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is we have a lot more in common than we think.
Yeah.
I don't think any, like, this is regular people versus an elite class, right?
Right.
And that's the thing is they want us fighting these stupid culture wars so that we never talk about what really matters. And I think that's, like this guy seems like, you could have a conversation where you agree with people on things. Like I have conversations like this with leftists frequently. Where it's like a lot of their messaging is like, oh, capitalism is terrible and blah, 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 stuff like that. But if you hear it in the right kind of way, you can find places where you agree with each other where it's like, yeah, well, all these elites are pieces of shit if you really think about it. None of them are good. They all have their hands in too many pies and they all have too much money. Meanwhile, the public is being actively rotted from the core by these people. Oh, and we're the public, whether we're Democrat, Republican, moderate, libertarian, whatever. We can argue about all the minutia of those things, but ultimately we need to find the common ground, which again, we have more of than we think we do. It's kind of like, you think about a unified church versus the, shotgun blast of Protestant splinter groups that all disagree about like little tiny things. It's like, well, ultimately you're all Christians, right? But we don't want to focus on that because, well, I'm right and you're wrong. And that feels good. Like, we don't have time for that anymore.
I'm identifying another tree, another pattern here, where the left and the right do eventually come together. And this has happened historically a few times. But another point, and a final point I suppose I'd like to make, is that this is the problem with word worlds. They're nice until they're not, and they make sense until they don't. And when people are hungry, they stop caring at all. The word world goes from, let's talk about the culture war, to we're freaking broke. And everybody's been there in their life at some level where they've reached the end of something. And it feels like the whole world is crashing down personally. But you know how it happened. You were willfully ignoring things that were wrong with your life, and you just weren't fixing them. And you knew the whole time what it was, but the reason you didn't look is because it was the thing that scared you the most.
Yeah, well, you use the term broke monetarily. Society is broke, but also we are spiritually broken as well. Because that has also been sapped and leached out of us and taken advantage of. And I think like a lot of these people are hitting what is rock bottom, where we can't give anymore.
Nope.
And we don't have a choice but we have to get out of the word world and start working with what actually matters.
Yeah. You get to a place where you've looked everywhere, but the one place you don't want to look. And now you have no choice. And now you must repent. And you must make this right. And you must do and think and see all the things you didn't ever want to touch. That's where people are getting to. Eventually. It'll happen very slowly, and then all of a sudden. You want to see a picture of a person who is not defined by word worlds?
Sure.
This guy right here.
Natural stimulants is driving with a suspended license. It's like having 20 cups of coffee. You see, what happens when you get into a car and you drive with a suspended license? It triggers the wanted man response. Your brain literally thinks it's a fugitive. And what that does is it greatly increases mental acuity and adrenal gland management. It's like skydiving on your way to work. And if you start every morning out like that, the rest of your day is easy. Because you just white-knuckled it through a school zone. See, the problem is driving legally is easy. It's safe. It's unearned comfort. And unfortunately, I see a lot of people do it. And if you want a suspended license, I really recommend creating a manufactured failure. Drive drunk through a roundabout. Crash your car. And what you'll start to realize is once you get that suspended license, the rest of your success will follow.
It's been there the whole time. I just needed to look.
You just needed to look in the one place it couldn't possibly be.
Gotta live on the edge.
Well, Adam, I think that was another wonderful episode of our little show called the Clowntown Chronicle. Don't you?
It was goofy.
It was very goofy. It was a good one, though. I would just want to say thank you to all of the new people joining us. I'm glad you stuck around through the entire show. Let us know that you're here. Like that video. Hit the subscribe button unless you already have. Comment, all that good stuff. Share it. And if you feel like donating, the links are all in the description. Please help us buy our way out of corporate slavery. We want to get there eventually. Right, Adam?
It's like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands.
Maybe we'll get there soon.
I want to be famous.
The circus will go on as long as we're around. The clowns have packed up their cars and they're all turned around. For now we must be on our way till our meeting next far away. It's so nice to talk with you, we'll miss you, but we'll see you next Monday. Episode 1, me in a closet, talking to a houseplant, 'cause it's all I've got. Mic on a shoebox, chair from the curb. I say roll the ad, but they ain't English word. If we had no donors, no patrons at all, we'd mime the episodes on a strip mall wall. Every soundboard effect is just a dial-up tone, and the credits just say, made by me all alone. So here's to the legends who keep this thing strange. You upgraded our closet to a room and some chains, 'cause life's pretty grim in the bargain bin zone. But with you weird heroes, we are slightly less